Hello everybody and welcome back. So as you all know, my name is Tim. I'm a computer science major currently in my second year and I've just finished my third semester. What I'm going to be doing in this video is sharing with you my tips and strategies for doing well in computer science and surviving the harsh workload that comes with a major like computer science. Now this video is probably going to relate to people that are in engineering fields or science fields as well. Anything that shares a similar amount of workload to a major like computer science, as they are, fairly similar programs, at least in the beginning years. So before I get too far into this, I'm going to give you a very brief background on who I am, why I'm even qualified to be giving you this information. So essentially, my name is Tim. As I've said, I'm a computer science major. I run this YouTube channel where I teach programming. This is pretty much my full-time job. I would say I probably commit 5 or 6 hours a day to working on this channel and to on my business. And the rest of the time during my day, I focus on school. So after 3 semesters, my current GPA, I believe, is a 9.4 out of 10. I'll put that up on my unofficial transcript so you guys can get the exact figure, but I'm pretty sure off the top of my head that's what it is, and I think that is equivalent to a 4.0 on a 4.0 GPA scale. So clearly I know how to spend my time, I know how to get things done, and that's why I'm going to be sharing some tips with you guys here today. So without further ado, let's get into my first tip for surviving and doing well in computer science. Alright, so my first and most important tip is to spend your time wisely and be very, very careful the activities that you participate in that are wasting your time. Now, let me kind of explain what I mean by this and break this down. I hope all of you would agree with me is that if you had unlimited time, you could get an A+ in every single class, you could do extremely well, and everything would be fine. You'd have enough time to do everything you need. So the goal really here should be to maximize the amount of time you can spend doing things that you find for yourself productive, right? That you think was a good use of your time. And the way that you can do this is to take one day, your average school day, maybe even a week actually, and this might help, and keep track of the activities you do in a day. Keep track of exactly what you get done and how long you spend doing different things. Now I'm telling you this because I know you guys are going to realize when you look at that log afterwards how much time you're wasting. And I'm not just talking about a few hours here and there. I'm talking about entire days worth of work just gone into the abyss, just destroyed because they're spent doing things that you don't really care about, that you're kind of just doing to waste time. Now, obviously you have to have the mindset to do this. You have to want to do better in school. You have to want to get things done. But if you have that mindset, all you need to do is really just be careful in the ways in which you spend your time and stop doing activities that waste your time. Stop watching 7 hours of TV every single day. Stop watching, 4 hours of useless YouTube videos at night, unless they're Tech with Tim programming YouTube videos, right? But that is kind of my point here. You want to evaluate your time and be extremely careful in the activities that you participate in, because if you don't find those meaningful activities, you shouldn't be doing them. Now, this obviously comes with a balance, right? And if you can do this and you can eliminate activities you don't care about, you're going to have more time to do things that you do care about. And that's not even just school. That could be working on a side project. That could be hanging out with your friends. Maybe you go and play sports. But if you can just eliminate the things that you don't care about from your life and those time-wasting activities that really just eat up big chunks of your day, you're going to be much, much better off. I can tell you when I did this in first semester, no joke, absolutely no exaggeration, I would say after a week of kind of employing this technique of really being careful with the way that I spend my time, I was 4 or 5 times more productive since then, from that. And now, you guys can probably gauge how much I can actually do in a day. That is simply because I don't waste time. Now I want to give you one very good example of how you can actually do this, how you can stop wasting time. Now this is going to sound like a very strange kind of request, but I hope a lot of you would agree with me when I say most of our professors don't really teach very effectively. They don't, convey information well, and what they teach in that hour-and-a-half lecture, you can probably learn on your own in about 45 minutes. The first week of school, every week, what I do in my strategy is I go to class, and rather than listen for all the course content, I do that a bit, what I do is I evaluate my professor. And I determine whether or not this person is an effective teacher so that I know whether I'm going to go to their class for the rest of the year or not. And in that one day, I make the decision whether I'm going or whether I'm not. And honestly, most of the time, my decision is I'm not going to go. And doing that has actually increased my grades a ton, because what I've been able to do is now, rather than spending probably 2 hours by the time I walk to class and walk back. In a lecture hall with someone that can't teach me anything, I learn it on my own at my desk, and it takes me 20 minutes. And this has allowed me so much more time to just be able to study and get things done, because I'm not having my time wasted by someone that can't teach me something effectively. So something to think about. Again, not really recommending this, but just, kind of keep it in the back of your head. That is how I really employ this technique. And it seems a bit drastic. It seems like I should tell you to go to class, but if you're not learning anything in class, there's really no point. All right, so time for tip number 2, which is going to be get organized. Now, we just talked about time management for a long time. I apologize, that went on for longer than I expected, but if you can now manage your time effectively and you've cut out the activities from your day that you shouldn't be doing or that you don't want to do, that aren't considered productive to yourself, what you can do now is really get super efficient by getting organized. Now, what I mean by that is really keeping track of everything. So every assignment, every lecture, every midterm, everything you have, you should have that written down. You should have that stored somewhere. Personally, for me, I use a Google Calendar. And what I do during syllabus week is I read through all my syllabuses and I add every single assignment, every single lab, every single lecture, everything that I have in my calendar. Now, the reason I do this is because this allows me to open up my calendar and at any point in time be able to tell you exactly what I kind of need to be working on and get done, and not get lost and forget about activities. Another thing that I do is I have a whiteboard. You can't see it, they're over here. And whenever I have an activity I need to do, I immediately write it down on my whiteboard. The reason I do this is because when I get back in my room after class or when I wake up in the morning, it's right there in front of my face. I see that activity and I can't forget about not doing that. There's so many times where you tell yourself, the night before, I'm going to get up and I'm going to grind this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do all this, and then you get up and none of it happens. For me, I find it really helps to have a visual somewhere that you can see it, somewhere that you can just pan your head from your desk to see all of the things that you need to do. Now, some people might find this overwhelming. I understand that. But for me, it's motivating to try to wipe those things off of the whiteboard and get them done. So just make sure you're keeping track of everything you need to do and that you have all of those different things ready. And you can, at any point in time, realize, okay, next week I'm going to be really busy. Maybe I got to do a little bit more work right now. So my third tip, and this one is actually extremely important as well, is to get things done early or immediately when they're assigned to you. Now, what I do personally is when I'm given an assignment or I'm given a lab or something like that, I do it as soon as I possibly can. As soon as that comes up on my Brightspace, which is my virtual campus where I have all this stuff, I just do it and I get it out of the way and I get it done. The reason I need to do this is because I have a lot of work I need to do for this YouTube channel. And if I let schoolwork pile up, there will be times where I will have to dedicate 2 or 3 days to finish all of that schoolwork and to get that done. And I don't have that luxury. I need to be able to do this. So for me, the way that I, kind of combat that is by when I get something, I do it immediately. I never let things stack and I never let things pile up. And that also allows me to live very stress-free. There's never a point in time where I wake up and my assignment's due at midnight and I haven't finished it yet. And that is a whole new lifestyle that I'm sure a lot of you probably have never experienced before, but it really makes things a lot easier on yourself. Getting things done early, you're incrementally kind of doing work throughout the semester, and you're not just waiting for weekends where you just grind and just spend 18 hours doing homework assignments and you're just stressed and you don't know if you're going to get something done and you end up getting a poor grade on it. It's just, this really lets you relax by doing this immediately when you get it. Yes, it's a pain. Maybe you don't have time in the day to get it done, but as soon as you possibly can get an assignment done, as soon as it's assigned, that's the best time to do it because you're never piling up and you're allowed to kind of live stress-free and relax. And for me, if I want to take a day off, I want to lie down for 20 minutes, I'm allowed to do that because everything that I need to do has been done. I haven't let anything pile up and I only have a little bit of work that needs to come. So that's a really big tip. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to do this, but just trust me when I tell you, this makes your life so much easier, so much less stressful, and allows you to take a break, to relax, because obviously everyone needs that. They need that balance. Okay, so my tip number 4, and again, this one is just, this makes such a big difference when it comes to actually getting a better grade and doing better in the program in general, is do well, extremely well, in everything before the midterm and the final. So in that first kind of, I want to say, third of the semester, you should do extremely well. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because this is the easiest time to do well. The only things you're probably going to have in a computer science or engineering degree is going to be quizzes, which are like you study a day or two before the thing and you should be able to do well on those. Assignments, which are take home. There's absolutely no excuse to not do well on assignments. And labs, which are usually just free marks anyways. If you can do well on these sections, you can secure yourself, usually a good chunk of your grade before you get to the midterm or the final. And for me, I know most of my classes, there's about a 20% chunk of the grade that comes from all that stuff that's not the midterm or the final. Doing well on this helps you a ton, but I don't understand why people, take this for granted and don't do well on it. I see so many people that just, bomb the assignments or, they'll bomb a midterm and they just say, oh, it doesn't matter because my final will override my mark. And what I'm saying by that is there's a lot of programs, I think my program, most of the classes are like this. If you do better on your final exam than your current grade just becomes your final exam, or at least like it'll override the midterm. There's some formulas for that. But why would you ever want to do this to yourself? Why do you want to put, your entire grade, so you say you have a 40, and you're like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do well on the exam, on this one exam that's now going to be pretty much 95% of your mark? This is the hardest thing to do well on. It's the most amount of content. It's during the most stressful time of the year, and you're saying, it's fine, I don't need to do anything in the easy point in the year because when it comes to the really hard part of the year and I have 5 classes that I need to do this for, I'll be fine. It just doesn't really make any sense. If you can do really well in the beginning of the semester, do really well in the midterm, you're not going to be that stressed going into the exam because all you need is a 40% to pass the class and, you can just have a better grade in general. A lot of times for me, I don't really study that hard for my exams. I'll get like a 70 on the exam, but because I have 100 in the rest of the class, I'll finish with a 90, right? And that's kind of what you want to do. That's what you want to allow yourself to get. Just do well in the beginning of the year, get all that easy stuff out of the way, go to all the labs, do all these, what tedious things that are going to build your grade up. And then during the exam, try your best to do well. But if you don't, it's not a big deal and you don't need to stress about it. So my last and final tip, this one's not crazy important, but it definitely makes a difference, is to make friends and use the resources available to you. Now, a lot of people go through school and they just go and they do it solo. And they say, it's me, I got this, I don't need help, I don't need to go to the guidance office, I don't need friends, and they just go and they just grind, usually they end up doing okay. But I can tell you, being someone that's capable of doing that, it's way easier if you just have a few friends and you work with them and get some stuff from them. The amount of times that I feel okay just skipping a class because I know one of my friends will send me the notes or he'll let me know if something is important is crazy. That's a really massive advantage that you want to give yourself. And everyone really wants to be your friend. A lot of people in these programs are fairly nice. They're in the same boat as you. There's Facebook group chats. There's just so many resources and you don't need to do everything on your own. Work in a team, make some friends, team up with people in your computer science classes, get to know them and use each other. They'll probably ask you for help and then you can ask them for help back. Just use your resources, use everything available and be smart. And that's kind of the whole point of this video, is just be smart about the way in which you're doing things. I will never tell you to grind and work as hard as you possibly can for school and do all that. That's not at all what I want to say to you guys. What I want to say is just be smart, make a good decision when it comes to what you're doing. Get things done early, manage your time well, stay organized. These things aren't that hard to do, and they're going to bring you from genuinely a 70% to an 85 or a 90, and that's exactly what they did for me when I really started employing these techniques into my daily schedule. So anyways, that has kind of been this video. I'd love to hear from you guys what you thought of these tips. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Obviously, this isn't going to work for everyone, and this is my kind of, standpoint and viewpoint of the things that work well, but I figured I would share it with you guys because I know a lot of you are in computer science and you can benefit. So leave a comment before you go with your best tip for computer science majors or for students, the way that you study and the way that people can, get better. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in another one.